This is Antithesis, your underground academic radio where the focus is on you. For those that are in the thick of it today, we know what you are living through. And for those that chose or were forced onto a different path, we know what it costs. We're here to be your companion and to help you reorient your compass a bit, to help make sense of it all. Thanks for being here. The opinions expressed here are my own and do not reflect those of my employer or any entity professionally affiliated with me. Topics in these podcasts will be familiar to many, if not all, within the academic and scientific communities, within institutions, industries, and employers of all kinds. Some of these topics may be of a highly sensitive nature to certain listeners, particularly those that have experienced or are experiencing them, and could trigger some emotions that are upsetting or distressing. I've created this space to speak openly about these topics with the broader goal of helping individuals cope, adjust, and adapt constructively to the many challenges at hand. With that said, thank you for joining me. Antithesis, Episode 16, Progress. Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for today's episode. While this podcast series revolves primarily around the core ecosystem and experiences of those that are still involved in higher education and academia, I want to underscore for anyone tuning in that may have stumbled onto us from a streaming service recommendation, or if we were suggested by a friend, family member, or colleague. Here, we are talking about people. Living, breathing beings. They put their pants on one leg at a time. Sometimes they are married, sometimes not. Sometimes they have children, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they are happy, sometimes they are not. Sometimes they are good people. Sometimes they are not that good. This might sound completely obvious to each of you, but it is worth mentioning with some reinforcement. There are things known and still unknown that I'm hoping to achieve with this project. Things tangible and intangible too. But I want to shoot straight at something that without a doubt is missing, and unfortunately in this world where for too many reasons, there are sides. A good longtime friend of mine that I met in my West Coast postdoctoral fellow days, Steve, has harped over and over to me for years. There is no us versus them. There is only us. And while I think today, and even over the past several years, most humans would need to take energy to be able to stop and admit that every single human being is, shall we say, interconnected. We need to overcome the barriers we build ourselves internally for what has been done to us and what we have done to ourselves, but also the barriers that impede everyone's progress. Again, the barriers you build that impede yourself and the barriers you build to impede others. And you can be an endowed professor, a graduate student, a farmer, a surgeon, a plumber, a police officer, a single mother, the president of the United States. Every single human under the sun. It doesn't matter who or where you are, these barriers exist, and they are blocking the progress of humanity. And a message that needs to be carried on high. Intellectuals are not all elite, and the elite are not all intellectuals. And every single person, from the densest cities to the most isolated villages and homesteads, has the capability to learn, to grow, to make progress and advance themselves to something new, something enriched, to know less than know thyself better. And in doing so, can better relate to being human, to better relate to people in diametrically opposed environments, conditions, and lives. This is where everyone has work to do. In the last episode, I spoke of sacrifice in several contexts, and a part of what I hope you would take from it is that for everyone to make some kind of progress at every possible scale, individual, village, community, city, state, region, nationwide, world, everyone has to give of themselves. For the things directly involving an individual's success, let's say however you define the word success, this can be complicated and grueling for some folks to do, depending on their overarching goals and mission. For other things going on external to you that can impact you directly or indirectly, sometimes this can take no heavy effort at all, but maybe a bit of introspection, reflection, and some mental practice. Maybe we can step back and call this growth. But that word growth means something has to be done. And to say you've grown, something has to be accomplished, has to be achieved. But this also means you must overcome two barriers. First, your own internal blockades to your learning. And second, the external blockades to your learning. In the last episode, I spoke of my frustration, hearing when people say something is just too hard, or I am just not good at something. And I have no doubt that each of us, every single one, if we haven't said it out loud before, we've thought it. And let's get something straight. Long ago, for a multitude of reasons, as I decided it was best for me to try to pursue more education after high school, I thought it myself. And trying to deal with this internal conflict was a major part of my struggle. And I cannot express enough how destructive this is, and how it doesn't only start to degrade your impression of yourself and your self-worth, but how you look at others,
like you, and unlike you. And so much of our entire culture has continued to propagate this disempowerment that it has become more and more socially acceptable. I remember this concept clicking with me years ago as I saw advertisements on TV and the internet, and it is becoming bewildering how saturating the messages were and still are for every product, for every service, promising to make our lives easier, faster, essentially requiring us to do less, and factually speaking, requiring us to think less. And then a core tenet of capitalism sets in. No, don't bother. Let us do it for you. I mean, recently seeing advertised an app that can help you keep track of all the streaming services you are paying for. Oh my word, and will even help you unsubscribe from them. This could help you save hundreds of dollars, the ad claims excitedly. Making solutions out of problems that should in no way exist. Maybe just keeping an eye on your credit card statements and bank accounts. And sure, they'll pull in customers because it sounds like such a great idea, as it further strips away the cognizance and responsibility to just take care of yourself and your own business. And the reality that technology and new instant modalities of communication can and should make us better is there, somewhere in all of this noise. And I admit, I have fixed more things around my house because of YouTube than I can count on all my fingers and toes. And I admit that I love it because I can watch and learn and study and practice and make good use out of the good that is there. These YouTubers can make their money from their instructional videos after I watch a couple of ads, and I can work to be more sustainable and fix my own property. But it still takes insight and awareness to check and double check and commit to trusting the source that appears most factual and authoritative because you have no damn idea about this person other than you found them on a streaming service. Oh, and to be absolutely positive that you are confident and willing to take the risk of fixing something yourself. I bring up this simple and common example because it's ubiquitous, because it relates well enough to everyone. No matter your education level, your training, your profession, your family, your social circle. For each and every one of you listening, how many of you have set yourselves up, aside from getting a formal education, in a technical area to take on a new effort, a project large or small, to take care of something in your life, your car, your house, your electric toothbrush, and manage to achieve it? And of course, to be clear, some jobs should 100% be left to professionals. But the line that needs to be drawn in front of every one of us is when it comes to harboring and having any disrespect for anyone, full stop, again, because you think you know them, but you don't. You really don't. And I'm not talking about people that put every second of their lives on social media, so there ends up being little left to the imagination. And the irony there is, how much do we even allow ourselves to believe anything we see on social media? Everyone must ask themselves that question. Here, I'm talking about the entire swaths of people that chose a life different than yours, with each of them dealing with something that isn't exactly what you're dealing with. So again, we are talking about growth through learning and working to stimulate and fostering a willingness to learn about ourselves and each other and the common threads between us, whether we want to admit them or not. And with that, a sidebar. The constructs of many of our various world societies want to present some kind of factual discreteness, completeness, an all or none to what makes us organisms, to what makes us human. A full decidedness, not of who we are, but who we must be and how we must feel. That must be directly linked to the presence of those special appendages dangling from our bodies, or not. I truly think that the majority want to believe it is all that neat. So clean, so clear, so easy. Well, guess what, folks? What makes you and who you are and who you see in the mirror and who you love? Both those with the fortune of identities that align to their external physical nature and those without, who experience a flipped set of preferences or even an entire spectrum of preferences, or live with a dysmorphia between the physical parts they see on themselves and what their brain commands who they feel they are and who they feel they love. Biology did not evolve to be all neat and tidy for any human's idealized constructs and views. We came from biology. People, humans, didn't create biology. Biological processes and organisms have inhabited this planet for billions of years, 3.5 billion plus or minus. Humans merely for a sliver of that, 300,000 years plus or minus. That's roughly 12,000 times less from where the very first bacterium appeared on the planet. And until more and more people can open their minds and accept that the messiness of biology is what gave us planet Earth's incredible diversity, and this includes humans merely as a tiny fraction of it. Humans that are not the same, that do not fit in all the same boxes, no matter how similar they look to each other. Oh, for those of you listening that struggle with your identity in any way, I'm dead serious. You are more normal than any other human being. It is human perception and understanding and learning and grace that is lacking in our world. I support you in your humanhood, in all the colors inside and outside that make you who you are and how you think and how you feel, including those of you that have never spoken of this and those of you that hate others because you have still not yet come to grips with who you are yourself. Couldn't make me sadder. I hope you can pursue your journey with courage and embrace that being human is and never was meant to be only some single set of idealized characteristics and the box that you've tried to fit in, maybe your entire life. There are some cultures of this world that, while some might call technologically underdeveloped, are so far advanced in this way compared to the US and other nations because they don't just accept, they embrace the complete gamut of what it means to be human. And being human in every form isn't just accepted, again, it's embraced, even revered. And here's where I return back to the introspection part. For every component of our society, academics past and present, this includes us, each and every one of us. Though with some of us requiring varying degrees of contemplation more than others, for the more seasoned of you, how do you present yourselves? Especially if you are still actively involved, do you make a positive, enlightening impact? And not only in your office, not only in your labs, not only in your classrooms, but to connect with the world outside of those spaces for the newer students, trainees, and investigators. Essentially, those of you who might not yet be ingrained into siloed principles and the types of close thinking that may have seeped into some people's minds. How will you present yourselves to your families, to your neighbors, to your community, to the world, friends, allies, or not? At great cost, some people want to cause nothing but pain and damage to those in their stead, and harbor no desire to even lend minimal fundamental support, and simply not block the progress of others. But the moment a fire is lit by someone different, a spark goes off showing something new, something clever, someone that has and even shows promise to do something unique and good. Some folks make it their mission to smother that fire. Haters abound. And one of the several but possibly most painfully disorienting things about academia, especially for young faculty members, is when those in power over you do the dance of disillusionment and distress over your standing, including when things are looking up and seemingly going well. And I say all of these things today, and truth be told, many things I've shared thus far in this series are merely matters of perspective, how you consider, how you communicate, how you connect within and outside of your academic endeavors. And being different, doing this differently, doing this better comes with risk because of the tranche of individuals that are completely incapable of letting go, opening up, and acknowledging that the academic mission, its true mission, is bigger than any one person, any one office, any one institution. It isn't just about those that manage to fit into some box of higher education and then cling onto some ridiculous cabal-like power. Its goals need to be inclusive of everyone. Can we all feel the parallels between the discourse and what human identity is, and even what education is supposed to mean, what it's supposed to be, and even how it is to be disseminated, or alternatively, cloistered away? And hey, we're pounding on academia here, non-academic folks, but this applies to you as well, because as we all know from the party line, we live in the real world, right? Same principles, same practices. I have been left wondering so often, do we all win when we can all progress, even if just a little? I wanted to make a change. I wanted to make an impact and drive from the very start on students in my classroom and my laboratory on day one, that the trauma, the challenges, the struggles, the fears, the questions, the doubts, I know they are all in there in different forms and fashions for every human being from the start. And I knew this would drive my people with a different and renewed purpose because it was from an entirely new playbook. And I had confidence that with this purpose and understanding comes with increased resilience and a hunger to push stronger and farther than one might have thought possible. And for me, the joy of seeing growth and development in a different way. Can you imagine a professor that could find joy in mentoring, research, service, and teaching? Yeah, the academy sure doesn't know what the hell to do with that because it's not the actual model. And the senior faculty that were in control of my path, assigned to presumably cater to my success, this was met with fury and resistance and mockery and deception and rejection, self-hatred. Hey, to put it simply, haters hurt. But we start to think about this and what we're seeing in the world today, how paralleled from within an institution, how parallel is that with our entire country and even the world? And as if we've seen in our nation and world over the past decade and longer, The shift of the predominating view can flip extremes. And when this happens, each individual under scrutiny and duress, and dare I say torture, cannot lose sight of the smallest of their advancements. And we think to ourselves, what is right? What is fair? What lifts everyone up, even just a little? And for some, what does nothing but to cause pain and discord for our entire human conglomerate? As we wrap up this episode, for any of you struggling against the prevailing view that you know in your most human of hearts is wrong, it is a current flowing against progress or a barricade built to hold you back from being productive and successful, maybe in a new, unique way, or maybe a blockade impeding you from just helping people understand each other a little bit more, maybe to get along even just a little bit better, whether it is a changing convention in your locality or the entire world. One step forward, two steps back. But what did the one step forward tell us? Did it happen? Yes. Did you impact people's lives in a positive way? And no less than shift the tide a little bit to help them gain some understanding and maybe a little support in what you delivered? You may have not just enriched lives a little. You may have saved them. Even with a loss, a dramatic reversal, a change that hurts not only you, but those around you. Do you hear your message in meetings with your team today as they adopted your mantra and principles and support and even their own wellness? Even with the sting and struggle and sadness, do you see, feel, and hear the result of the ripples you created, the indelible impact that you had on people? Our world is so bedrock because so much of it is a construct of suppression that is designed to fool people into feeling safer. And this prevents too many from being willing to learn more about others, but first and foremost of importance, about themselves. This is why change is such a long game. Though progress is made with every little step that is achieved, and even if we as individuals or as a contingent lose footing and are pushed backward, but every new established inch forward counts, even if that footprint is somehow swept away. For those that needed it as a guide, a set of core principles, a directional and even spiritual anchor, for those that have grown and progressed to cling on to. Are we going to be able to change the world in a short period of time? I hope these messages can help those of you hold on to that focus, hold on to your mission, because this is going to take time. You need to put forward that strength, and may even the smallest momentary step forward remind you of your progress to make lives better. And with that, thanks so much for joining me today, and I hope you look forward to our next episode that will be released in a week's time. And no matter on which platform you heard today's episode, if you enjoyed it and you want to hear more, please subscribe, follow, like, and share, and set your notifications to let you know that next fresh episode is ready for you to dig in. All of you, keep building up your courage, hang in there, and keep your head up. We'll talk to you again soon. Continuing 30 years of experience with stories in and beyond the academic realm, Antithesis is a podcast that will take these perspectives and philosophies and pull them, along with you, the student, the researcher, the innovator, the educator, into the sunlight. Join us for some firsthand experiences, insights from inside and outside academia, and perspectives that are aimed at redefining the conventions of academia and your training, with the aim of helping you reorient your compass and strengthen you on your journey forward, or to recover and grow from those times past. We'd love to have you follow us and tune in weekly. If you have a topic you'd like discussed or a challenge you are facing you want to share, email us at allsystemsgo@gmail.com. That is ALLSYST3MSGO@gmail.com.